Hello, my dear curious and studious students of surgery. Myself, Dr. Mahesh Chaudhary. I am warm welcoming you in my surgery lecture series. This surgery lecture series contains entire surgery with anesthesia, with radiology, with orthopedic. So stay tuned with us. Let's start our surgery lecture series. Welcome, dear students, in my surgery lecture number 23, that is the intestinal obstruction. This lecture contains the intestinal obstruction, mechanical obstruction, paralytic ileus, pathology of the intestinal obstruction, and strangulated obstruction. So let's start with me to explore the intestinal obstruction. When there is a pathological interference with the normal progression of the intestinal luminal contents distally, condition is called intestinal obstruction. Such obstruction may be due to the mechanical obstruction of the intestine when it is called mechanical obstruction. It may also occur from paralysis of the intestinal muscles, so that the peristalsis of the intestine is lost. That is the progression of the intestinal contents. This is called paralytic ileus. Now the etiology. First, there are two etiologies of this intestinal obstruction. First is the mechanical obstruction and second is the paralytic ileus. We see first the mechanical obstruction. This includes obstruction in the lumen caused by meconium, basars, which may be tracheobasars, that is the hairs, or phytobasars, fruit, vegetables, all these fibers contained at a one spot, gallbladder stones, polypoid tumors of the bowel, intersusception, impaction of barium or worms. All these are the causes of the mechanical obstruction. You can see the good picture of mechanical obstruction on your screen. This is the another picture showing the before and after mechanical obstruction of the intestines. This is the X-ray showing the air and fluid levels in the X-ray film. This is also a good one film of the intestinal obstruction. And the second etiology of the mechanical obstruction is lesions of the bowel, which are contains congenital, traumatic, inflammatory, neoplastic and miscellaneous. First congenital is the atresia and stenosis. Second is megacolon, that is the Hirschsprung disease, Meckel's diverticulum, imperforate annus and diverticuli. Lesion of the bowel wall. Second is the traumatic, and C is the inflammatory, that is the Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, which is very rare. Diverticulitis, it is also rare. D causes lesion of the bowel wall is a neoplastic. Various tumors of the small intestine and large intestine also causes obstruction. And finally miscellaneous lesions of the bowel wall is radiation therapy, iatrogenic strictures following intestinal anastomosis and potassium induced stricture. Third is the lesion extrinsic to bowel, that is the adhesive band constrictions and angulation by the adhesions. A leading cause may follow previous surgery and inflammation. Adhesions may produce kinking and angulation or create a bands of tissue that compress the bowel. Now next is the external hernia. This is the second common cause of the mechanical small intestinal obstruction, that is the inguinal, femoral, umbilical and incisional hernia. And next cause is the volvulus. Then extrinsic masses, that is the hematomas and abscesses, neoplasms outside of bowel, annular pancreas. And the next etiology, main etiology is the paralytic ileus, contains the abdominal causes and the systemic causes. First abdominal causes is the intestinal distension, peritonitis, retroperitoneal lesions, that is the hemorrhage, sarcoma, distension of ureter. And the systemic causes are the electrolyte imbalance, that is due to the hypokalemia. There is a paralytic ileus also, then toxemias. Now the classifications of the intestinal obstruction can also be made as follow. Simple mechanical obstruction, that is the obstruction but blood supply to intestine remains intact. Strangulation obstruction, mesenteric vessels occluded, operated without delay, don't be delay in this condition. Closed loop obstruction, when both limbs of loop are obstructed or so there is neither progression nor regurgitation. Also can be further classified into acute and chronic obstruction. First, acute obstruction, central abdominal pain and distension, early vomiting and constipation. Second is the chronic obstruction, when obstruction is confirmed to the large bowel and is characterized by lower abdominal colic, absolute constipation and later on distension. Third is acute and chronic obstruction, which starts in large bowel but gradually involves the small intestine. Now the pathology of the intestinal obstruction. First is the bowel motility. The part of the intestine above the obstruction shows vigorous peristalsis to overcome the obstruction. If the obstruction is not relieved, increasing distensions of the intestine ensues and a time comes when peristalsis ceases and the obstruction intestine remains flaccid and paralyzed. First, the body or the intestine try to overcome on the obstruction. But if fails, then there is a hampers of the bowel motility. For next hours, the intestine below the obstruction shows normal peristalsis and absorption. Distension, accumulation of fluid and gas proximal to the obstruction occurs. This produces distension of proximal intestine. That contains ingested food, digestive secretions and intestinal gases play the major role in hypovolemic shock. Now the next important point in the intestinal obstruction is the fluid and electrolyte imbalance. Distension increases intestinal resection and decreases absorption. Repeated vomiting causes severe metabolic disturbances. This leads to losses of water, sodium chloride and potassium ions, producing dehydration with hypocholemia and hypokalemia and metabolic alkalosis. Abnormalities of serum electrolytes values are less dramatic, probably because of hydrochloric acid and losses are less. With dehydration, there will be oliguria, hemoconcentration and azotemia. If dehydration continues, reduced cardiac output, decreased CVP, hypotension and hypovolemic shock. Now the next point is the intestinal gas. Gas accumulation in intestine proximal to obstruction mainly due to gas solid from the atmosphere air, diffusion from blood into the bowel lumen, that is the CaCO2, from neutralization of the bicarbonate, organic gases, that is the hydrogen sulfide, ammonia, amines and hydrogen, from bacterial fermentation, that is the 10%. Nitrogen is not absorbed by the intestinal mucosa, so nitrogen content is very high in intestinal gases. Bacterial proliferation, bacteria and bacterial toxins cannot cross normal intestinal mucosa. Now the next point is the strangulated obstruction. Strangulation develops when the circulation to the obstructed intestine is impaired. This frequently occurs secondary to adhesive band obstruction, hernia, volvulus or intersusception. If the obstructed distending bowel is held by unyielding adhesive bands or hernial rings, strangulation may occur. Similarly, in volvulus or intersusception, the mesenteric vessels are occluded by twisting of the mesentery. In strangulated obstruction, the patient suffers from all the ill effects of simple obstruction plus to the effects of the strangulation, and there is a distension. Distension in case of strangulation obstruction is different from the simple obstruction. Onset of gangrene. Strangulated obstruction does not occur till the venous return is completely occluded. Color of intestine changes from purple to black when the blood supply is completely hampered. Loss of blood volume. Strangulated segments will cause extravasation of blood body fluid into the bowel. So strangulation causes loss of blood and plasma, will cause shock, hypovolemic shock. Transmigration of bacteria and toxins, production of toxic materials within the strangulation segments. Normal mucous membranes does not absorb this material, but when becomes devitalized, both bacterial toxins and the products of the tissue autolysis pass through the wall of the intestine into the peritoneal cavity, and from where these are absorbed into the circulation. Dear students, you can see the image on your screen is first is the strangulated hernia, second is the volvulus and third is the intersusception. This is the next image, that is the image showing there is a releasing of the strangulated hernia, there is a color change of the small intestine. This is the another image of strangulated obstruction of the intestine. Now the next point is closed loop obstruction. When both afferent and efferent limbs of a loop of bowel are obstructed, that is called as closed loop obstruction. This is the more dangerous, as this type very rapidly becomes strangulated. So this is more dangerous. Then the colonic obstruction. In general, effects of colon obstruction is usually much less dramatic than the effects of small bowel obstruction. If IC wall, ileocecal wall is competent, colon obstruction will lead to closed loop obstruction. And if IC wall is incompetent, sign of small bowel distension may accompany colonic obstruction. Colonic obstruction usually does not strangulate except case of volvulus. Now the clinical features of all these types of obstructions are: important symptoms of simple mechanical obstructions are abdominal pain, vomiting, failure of passes the gas, that is the flatus, distension. Now the physical examination: pulse is tachycardia, BP is hypotension, fever suggests strangulation, indicates severe dehydration and peritonitis. Tachycardia and hypotension indicate severe dehydration and peritonitis. On the inspection examination, visible peristalsis on the abdominal wall, previous scar of previous surgery which causes the adhesions, bands, distension of the abdomen, hernial orifices should be inspected. Then on the palpation of the abdomen, muscle guarding is there, tenderness, rigidity at the site of obstruction indicates strangulation if the local rigidity is there. Otherwise, diffuse rigidity or complete rigidity also will be there. Rebound tenderness suggests the peritonitis to exclude presence of mass. On the percussion of the abdomen, tenderness on light percussion suggests strangulation. On the auscultation, bowel sound becomes loud, and in strangulation particularly, sound is completely absent at that point or at that region. Now, rectal examination should be the mandatory in all abdominal cases. No exam will complete without rectal examination in abdominal cases should be performed in all cases of intestinal obstruction. For presence of mass within or outside the lumen, for presence of feces, absence means obstruction is higher up, presence means should be studied for occult blood, carcinoma, intersusception or infarction. Sigmoidoscopy examination, if colonic obstruction is suspected, then sigmoidoscopy examination should be performed. Now, which kind of the investigation should be performed in intestinal obstruction? First is the blood examination, which is common, hemoglobin percent, WBC count, platelet count and serum electrolytes. Serum amylase level increased due to the entry of the amylase into blood by the regurgitation from the pancreas because of the back pressure in the duodenum. Metabolic acidosis due to the combined effects of the dehydration, ketosis and loss of the alkaline secretion. Second investigation is the radiological examination. Most important diagnostic procedure to confirm the clinical diagnosis and to locate the site of the obstruction accurately. Straight X-ray abdomen, supine and upright position with AP and lateral view. If not possible, left lateral decubitus film may be suffice. Gas fluid levels are the most important criteria of diagnosis of obstruction. Hostile markings seen due to the presence of gas within the colon. Barium enema indicated when straight X-ray and clinical pictures suggest colonic obstruction. Contraindication of barium enema is partially to complete colonic obstruction becoming possibility of perforation or strangulation. In such cases, the barium enema should be avoided. Intravenously urography to exclude the presence of ureteric calculi. All these investigations should be performed. Now, the management of the intestinal obstruction are principle of the treatment of intestinal obstruction includes fluid and electrolytes in therapy, decompression of the bowel, that is the nasogastric aspiration through the Ryle's tube, time surgical intervention to relieve the obstruction, operative treatment for intestinal obstruction is mandatory, and in strangulation, criteria to determine viability of bowel are MAC, that is the motility, arterial pulsation and color. Now, the next point is the paralytic ileus. Failure of transmission of peristaltic waves due to the neuromuscular failure leads to accumulation of intestinal fluid and gas inside the lumen, which results in abdominal distension. In the intestinal wall, two nerve plexus, mesenteric plexus between longitudinal and circular muscles layer, Meissner's plexus in submucous port, that is the submucous plexus. Types of paralytic ileus, there are 4 types. One, post-operative paralytic ileus, peritonitis, metabolic paralytic ileus and reflex paralytic ileus. First, post-operative paralytic ileus, limited period for 24 to 72 hours. Then develop the peritonitis due to intra-abdominal sepsis, metabolic paralytic ileus due to uremia, hypoproteinemia and hypokalemia. Reflex paralytic ileus occurs following retroperitoneal hemorrhage, fracture of spine or fracture of ribs. Dear students, you can watch a good picture on your screen of X-ray, plain X-ray abdomen, PA view showing the fluid and gas levels. This is the CT film clearly showing the gas in the intestine. The clinical features: absence of bowel sound on auscultation, absence of pain, effortless vomiting, abdominal distension, no passage of flatus. Straight X-ray of the abdomen shows gas-filled loops of intestine with multiple fluid levels. Treatment: primarily treated by the conservative treatment, nasogastric suction, decompress the abdomen and IV fluids administration, maintain the hypovolemic shock, correction of the electrolyte imbalance, particularly hypokalemia. Dear students, there are very good videos with animation are available on the YouTube. You can watch it to clear your concepts regarding intestinal obstruction and paralytic ileus. Here is the end of our surgery lecture number 23, that is the intestinal obstruction. Thank you.